Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I, the one and only, Mexi here, and I am back for the likes of the Mexi Toys videos once again. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more Let's Play of Luigi's Mansion 2, aka Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, for those of you who lived in North America, for the Nintendo 3DS/Nintendo Switch, as currently we are still playing through Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. So, last time we essentially did manage to went into Mission 8-4, which appears to be visual tricks, and as a result, not only did we capture some even more ghosts, but also about the fact that we actually come across into ourselves the Dark Light device, so naturally we can now able to actually use that to see some invisible objects that we couldn't normally see whenever we first explore onto certain rooms. And in addition to that, we've also discovered about the fact that with these particular spirit orbs, that apparently though, is that one of those boos in particular is responsible for able to actually cause certain objects to go disappear, and because of that though, speaking of which, we did somehow capture the first boo in the game so far. So, and of course we somehow once again get ourselves the 3-star medal, so yeah, that's actually pretty swell. So today, for this video is that we're going to be continuing things on and move on to the next mission, and that's what appears to be Mission 8-5, Sticky Situation. So as a result, it looks like we're about to be doing a different tasks for a change, and because of that, we're about to be starting to be able to, well, trying to clear up the entire Gloomy Manor, and because of that, according to the forms of this particular description though, we need to take care of every single spider webs throughout the majority of this mission. So because of that though, yeah, this is going to be quite of an interesting experience, all things considered. So either way, so chances are though is about the fact that there's going to be a lot of times about the fact that we have to backtrack for one room and vice versa whenever you do able to actually spot those specific spider webs, and also we do need able to try to clear out some spider webs in particular for some situations, but either way, let's dive right into, well, Sticky Situation right there, and it looks like we've met again at that particular entrance thing right there. So relatively speaking now, we can now able to actually just to take care of 46 spider webs that we do need to take care of. So I suppose we should probably focus on those specific clearing up stuff for a little bit. So first off, I just need able to see what specific secrets we can possibly find, to be more specifically with abundance of cash, so just in case we can able to guarantee to get ourselves yet again with the 3-star ranking. So either way, few things I want to talk about is about the fact that, well, today's date, of course, here is the 21st today, in some cases in 2024 today, or should I say the 21st of August, to be more specifically. So, if you're probably wondering about the fact that I was originally trying to able to actually discuss upon, you know, with the fact that with the most recent Nintendo Direct that we somehow got recently, thanks to the fact that Ray the Flying Squirrel did already mention about that ever since in yesterday's video of The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening remake on Switch. So, relatively speaking though, I was originally trying to able to mention about certain stuff they somehow featured for that particular recent Nintendo Direct, which appears to be Nintendo Museum Direct. But let's just say, for the fact that we'll probably able to actually realize by saying about the fact that at this point in time, there's a lot of news I would like to discuss upon before we're able to actually get into the main event when it comes to that particular discussion about what the forms of Nintendo Museum Direct. So anyway, and it's also worth noting for it is about the fact that one thing that Ray the Flying Squirrel has technically didn't mention about is that according to the forms of X Twitter account, for I've noticing this already, that about the fact that Nintendo of America did state about the fact that please note that there will be no game announcements or mention of the Nintendo Switch successor during the forms of that particular presentation. So yeah, this could be a pretty strange situation with this particular whole transition for the likes of the forms of not only we still got a couple of titles left for the likes of Nintendo Switch 1, but exponentially though is about the fact that, well, we still haven't got a clue about the fact that what the actual full name of that particular Nintendo Switch successor is going to call it. Well, usually relatively speaking, we'll have to wait and find out and see what happens in due time. So anyway, And it's also worth noting for, actually, is about the fact that, yes, indeed, I did manage to able to actually just to realize about the fact that I've actually got back into playing through Super Paper Mario on my own time for a bit. So, relatively speaking, just to ensure for the fact that I can able to actually do a lot of level up grinding, so just in case I can able to focus on trying to achieve the 100% completion, because after all, I've already fully 100% everything on Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, specifically on the Switch remake most likely, although I'm really darn, so close to able to try to get fully 100% everything on the likes of the original GameCube version. Well, as a result, no matter what though, is about the fact that I was been busy recently, so because of that, ranging from the likes of, trying to look up on specific stuff, including with the forms of some new updates for specific games in the future, and you name the rest. So anyway, also, those spiders are everywhere in Journey forms within this particular mission in general. Well, clearly about the fact that we are still about to be getting rid of every single spider webs in this entire mission, so you probably get the gist of it. So, it's also around that time actually, it's about the fact that we can able to potentially try to get the final 3 gems in Gloomy Manor. So because of that, although I was originally trying to able to actually go back onto the previous missions, because as you can tell, about the fact that we can now able to actually technically go back onto the previous missions if you wanted to, by simply trying to find one of those boos in particular, because after all, we've now finally got ourselves the ability to able to see some invisible objects, thanks to the forms of the dark light. So, no matter what though, I should probably able to actually try to say this right from the start, that I think I'm about to be able to try to save up for Friday, potentially, because no matter what though, it's about the fact that I'm pretty sure, as far as I'm aware, about the fact that we've only just got roughly about 11 days left until, to be more specifically, we're about to be approaching on to the next month, which appears to be September. So anyway, and also, what I've noticed something is about the fact that there's actually going to be a shorts compilation is going to be on its way. To be more specifically, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 5 different shorts is going to be on its way for the likes of the forms within Disney Plus exclusive. And for what I can tell, it's going to be releasing at some point on the 4th of September, and that particular short series is actually going to be called Lego Pixar Brick Tunes. So, as far as I'm aware, certain shorts does contain one of those segments from Cars, and one of them from The Incredibles, one from Brave for some reason, one from Coco, and the other one from Finding Nemo. Which, yeah, it's kind of unfortunate about the fact that they have not mentioned something related to Toy Story, or even Inside Out, and especially noticeable with the forms of A Bug's Life, and as well as Monsters Inc., but beggars can't be choosers, I guess. Although, what I've noticing this is about the fact that, well, I think that's as far as I can try to say about that, I guess. So, also, as far as I'm aware, that one of those Nintendo Switch games is yet again being delayed once again. That one of those games is actually mentioning for is Fantasy Life I, the girl who steals time. Well, it was originally going to be released during at some point on the 10th of October. Well, guess what? They somehow pushed that game back again, except this time it's now going to be releasing until 2025. So because of that though, yeah, we have no idea when is it going to be releasing exactly in 2025. So yeah, this is kind of a weird situation, isn't it? With all these games have been delayed and all that stuff out of nowhere for this entire existence. Well, usually relatively speaking, it was about the fact that, well, usually relatively speaking of what I can tell from the actual description for it, that level 5 say that about the fact that, well, decided to change the release date. The company did not explain why another delay is happening, but regardless, extra time is needed. So yeah, it's like it needs some more time to work with, so I guess that makes sense to the sake of the forms of trying to able to improve the game more than anything else. So also, as far as I'm aware, that one of those demos is going to be fundamentally speaking, it already came out in just about 2 days ago, actually. Well, technically speaking, it's about the fact that there was this particular demo called Emo the Smiley man or something like that, whatever you want to be more specific than that. Well, actually, no matter what though, I think it's going to be releasing not one, but 3 demos of that particular game. And one of those demos will be expected to be releasing on, well, for instance, is about the fact that we've already got one sent in 2 days ago. That's what appears to be that we're about to be able to experience. Not only Prologue, a phase, but also Chapter 1, the Urban Legend. So, yeah, that's what I can really say about it. And I believe until tomorrow anyway, we can expect able to actually come across into ourselves Chapter 2, The Disappearance, and I suppose, until likely or so 6 days time or something like that, we can able to experience Chapter 3, The Language of Flowers. So, yeah, there's only like 3 demo segments during the forms of that particular, demo that I already brought up, ever since in about, well, as I said before, since in 2 days ago or something. So anyway, there's also worth noting for actually, is about the fact that it's kind of unfortunate about the fact that in Gamescom 2024, that sadly to tell you is about the fact that still Hollow Knight Silksong will not be mentioned for the sake of the forms of Gamescom, but this time in 2024. So yeah, it's gonna be a missed opportunity for the sake of time, especially that most Hollow Knight Silksong fans out there is still gonna be super duper desperate to want able to actually get that game to be revealed. I mean, it feels kind of like a similar situation as the forms of Metroid Prime 4, at least back in the day. But of course, now we did somehow recently got ourselves not only the actual specific release date, but also with the proper title for the game of Metroid Prime 4, called Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. So, at the very least we got that. So, yeah, I suppose technically all we need left now in terms of the forms of game release dates as far as I'm concerned, that is of course Hollow Knight Silksong. So because of that though, but we still haven't got a clue of how the actual development actually turns out to be. But we still know for the fact that the actual game will able to actually going to be receiving multiple versions of the game, ranging from, you know what I'm talking about, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 5, alongside with any other systems I can probably think about on top of my head. Mind you about the fact it has been about quite a few days ago actually, since I actually mentioned something related to Hollow Knight Silksong. I mean, let's face it though, it's about the fact that it is very difficult sometimes when it comes to able to predict of when exactly is it going to be releasing exactly, because the last time we actually hear about the forms of the entire gameplay footage was back in 5 years ago, since E3 2019. I mean, how crazy is that? Especially concerning for the fact that it's bad enough with the stupid pandemic decides able to actually come into play, so that makes the entire processing department when it comes to developing the game can take much longer than it needs to be. So either way, I have no idea why I somehow managed to able to point things out, by the way, but that's as far as I can try to able to explain about any of those specific solutions. So, anyways though, also, something's worth noting for actually. You remember how the fact that yesterday that Ray the Flying Squirrel did somehow mentions about the fact that yes indeed, we did somehow finally get a chance to able to actually get ourselves the actual release date for the DVD/Blu-ray release, including the 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray release as well of Inside Out 2, and I was, you know, really excited about the forms of trying to rewatch that amazing film again, except this time on DVD format, and despite the fact that we have to deal with a lower quality, likely also for 480p, but that's okay for me, because obviously that was about the fact I'm, at this point in time, I'm almost running low for that particular shelving space. So because of that, and also when it comes to forms of other stuff worth noting for, is about the fact that when it comes to the fact that I suppose that Ray the Flying Squirrel also hasn't mentioned about this either, that it looks like we're also going to be able to expect to get Inside Out 2 movie collection, and that's also going to be releasing on not only on DVD but also on Blu-ray and even maybe 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray or something like that. That's also going to be releasing and during at some point on the 30th of September. So because of that though, yeah. And relatively speaking though, I've already got the first film already, back in Journey Films event 2015, when I did manage able to pre-order that film back then. And I think I'm also able to do the same thing for the sake of Inside Out 2, alongside with the forms of Super Mario Party Jamboree, including Sonic Cross Shadow Generations for multiple versions potentially. So anyway, so as soon as we're able to suck up some more spirit orbs right there, and once we're able to reveal the actual piano, but obviously that's where the Boo location was. So yeah, every time when you found something a little bit more hidden, obviously though you can able to find a Boo from there. So, and potentially speaking though, you can able to actually get the ridiculous amount of coins if you manage to let Boo managed able to get smacked most of the time, or even just bounce around more likely than everything. So either way, looks like he's almost down, and suffice to say, he's basically down now. So either way, let's try to suck him up, and there we go. Everything else is all settled. In new forms within the library, and yeah, every time if you manage to capture the Boo for the first time, usually EGADS will tell us about the fact that how you know, unpredictable certain Boos were. So either way, I apologize for my commentary, it's a little bit iffy at some form or another. I mean, because of that though, it's most likely because about the fact that I just a little bit more optimistic about the fact that what the future holds for the likes of the forms of the next batch of Nintendo presentations might hold up, especially concerning after the events of, you know, the most recent one, which is of course Nintendo Museum Direct. And also, if what I can tell anyway, is about the fact that, well, usually it's, as far as I'm aware, that recently though, out of nowhere, that Lazy Town did somehow manage to celebrate its 20th anniversary just recently, and yeah, it is very bizarre while looking back, although I do know for the memes, but I'm just not a big fan of it though, especially concerning for the fact that, well, I have no interest with that particular series, I'll be honest here, although mind you about the fact that I do sort of remember it, well, not usually all the time though, but anyway. So as you can see about the fact that certain spiderwebs are usually blocked off for certain progression, so we do need to let that particular candle decides to tip down, and before we do anything else, we need to get rid of every single spiders in this particular spot right there, and now we can to suck up one of those specific spider webs right here and drag it all the way to where the candles are and let it lit, and that way we can to actually just well, continue our progressioning here. So oh, wait a second, there's actually that particular spiderweb ball thingy. So basically though, we need to lit up with the fire and carry it all the way to where a bunch of spiderwebs was actually located, and there we go. So problem solved basically. So now we can to actually get all the way up to the next floor if we decide to do that. But before we do that, let me just go ahead and get rid of some even more spider webs. In addition to that, what I can tell, there's actually some gems that we can to find in not only for this room, but there's also going to be in another room as well. And of course, we do need to activate something on here. So either way, I think that should be all set and done. And I did not meant to suck that up. Oh, okay, I guess that works that way. So basically though, you just have to let that particular flammable spider ball thing, or the spider web ball thingy, will able to actually burn you know, another spider web. Naturally speaking though, you can to actually get yourselves yet another gem. So anyways, let's get on to this little bed contraption thing, which for some reason it does remind me of a similar tropes as in Wallace and Gromit contraptions or gadgets or somewhat. So yeah, pretty cool as far as this is concerned. Actually, kind of think about it though, I'm pretty sure we've only got roughly about 4 months left until Wallace and Gromit Vengeance Most Foul is going to be on its way on Netflix, on you know, most countries, whilst compared to the UK version, well, I can assure you it might show up on TV. So yeah, anyways, let's just go ahead and suck up certain curtains and able to actually reveal the actual picture frame right there. And naturally, we can get ourselves the next gem right there. So that's how essentially you can to work around with that particular picture frames here and there as well, which that could be more important until whatever we get to later on throughout the majority of this game. So anyways though, we still need to able to try to get out of this room somehow, because as you can tell, there is no escape from there. Well, besides about the fact that we did somehow manage to take care of any other spider webs surrounding this room, so that should be all good to go. So, anyways, and it's also worth noting for, I did found it's a little bit, cool as far as this is concerned, about the fact that I've managed to able to spot something for the likes of Sonic the Hedgehog, community post, that, it did show up, Dr. Eggman as a picture, and it did say with the actual specific text saying, "I am the evil genius getting mad at nature," which stands for Eggman. So yeah, that seems pretty cool for understanding what the actual specific words mean, especially concerning that obviously Dr. Eggman is evil and he's a genius and he's obviously getting mad at nature. So yeah, kind of a cool trope right there. So anyway, and it's also worth noting for what I've also found out, that recently, for I can tell, about the fact that recently though, during the course of being also in Nintendo of America X account, basically though, is about the fact that they did somehow show us a bit of a teaser for the Super Mario Party Jamboree game. Like, as a result, it did somehow show us the forms of, at the moment right now, it did show us the actual slideshow with all these playable characters you're going to be playing as. Like, as far as I'm aware, it did show us Birdo, Boo, Goomba, Monty Mole, Peach, and Toad. And after that, though, it did say, watch out for more characters. And I was like, okay, I'm a little bit optimistic about this, and as far as I can definitely notice right from the start as well, that if I've double checked on the Super Mario Wiki website, that it actually did state this. On August 16th, which as a result it did happen about 5 days ago, Nintendo of America confirms on X that there will be more characters than this, saying that they will be revealed in the future. So this means it could potentially try to bring us some even more playable characters in journey forms of one of those X or Twitter drops. And I was like, okay, I'm very excited about this. I mean, after all, we've already got 21 playable characters so far in Super Mario Party Jamboree, so I'm a little bit more, you know, my expectations might be a bit high when it comes to likely not only revealing some new gameplay footage or something like that, but also maybe potentially try to show us some even more playable characters in Super Mario Party Jamboree. I mean, obviously though, I'm really still hoping that maybe Diddy Kong will make its return, and maybe they'll try to able to actually bring Pauline for the first time in a Mario Party game. I mean, who knows, especially considering for the fact that at this point in time, about the fact that we are still on the forms of on the 21st of August so far, maybe they'll try to able to actually keep us updating it, in regards to the forms of, you know, more characters will get revealed on Super Mario Party Jamboree, if possible, during at some point in every single Fridays, I'm pretty sure anyway. I mean, that again, though, it's a bit tricky to tell at this point. So, anyway, and, also, for I can tell about the fact that recently I've also found out that, yeah, Boo Spots will make its return after the events of Mario Party Superstars, basically. So, well, at least what I've double checked in Journey forms have been Mario Party Legacy website once again. So as a result, they did somehow mention about the fact that yes, indeed, Boo Stealing is going to make its return after the events of, you know, Mario Party Superstars, basically. Except the notable differences this time is about the fact that obviously we can now play as Boo on the actual specific character selection in Super Mario Party Jamboree. So, and as far as I can tell, about the fact that currently so far, they've shown us 6 Boo locations, ranging from Mecha Wiggler's Tea Party, alongside with the forms of Goomba Lagoon, and even Rainbow Galleria, and as well as the forms of Rollout Raceway, or something like that, and even Mario's Rainbow Castle, and even Western Land. So, but I have no idea if the Boo location will be spotted in journey forms of in King Bowser's Keep, or even potentially some new boards, or something like that. Well, it's a bit tricky to tell, because I know for a fact it's been roughly about 2 months since when Super Mario Party Jamboree was first announced. Ever since, and I'm really dang good general Nintendo Direct in June 18th. So yeah, that's actually pretty swell. So anyway, let's get up to the attic, and as a result, we're now on to rafters. So this means we now proceed on to the next floor, basically. So either way, and oh boy, this is where we come across into ourselves the well, let's just say a control scheme where it comes to likely some situations that basically though, after we're able to actually grab some more treasure, of course, basically though, as soon as we're able to go onto this little tiny walkway, guess what? We have to keep our balance with all this motion controls, all the gyro sensing controls. And you can also press the B button if you want to speed things up a notch. So relatively speaking, if you dare fall off, obviously though, not only do you have to go all the way back to the beginning portion of that segment, but also I would say you will lose your bit of your health. So yeah, you better have to watch out not to fall off too much. So anyway, so let's get rid of that spider web right there. And yeah, for the most part, that's as far as I can try to able to discuss upon. Well, apart from the fact that there's also technically another thing I would like to classify for mentioning about this potentially. Oh wow, we got ourselves all the gems now. So because of that, yeah, all 13 gems in Gloomy Manor is somehow obtained. So yeah, pretty cool and pretty awesome at the same time. So I won't show you what really happens if you do manage to able to gather every single gems on one of those mansions in particular. But let's just say I think I'm also able to try to save that up and join at some point once we well, done with everything basically, ranging from, you know, capturing all the booze and of course trying to able to complete certain missions if possible. So I guess that pretty much checks out there. So, and I'm afraid to tell you, we're sort of missing one spider web. Oh, it was actually on the library, and if I recall correctly, it was gonna be on that little that floor that I was gonna. Oh, jeez, this can be a little bit finicky sometimes. What if you're trying to balance on that particular tightrope walking kind of syndrome, and yeah, there's going to be a lot of times about the fact that we have to come across into like that. So, it's a good thing we're not going to be playing through the 3DS original version, just because, again, the recording setup is a bit of a nightmare, and that's the reason why we've decided able to choose the Switch version instead. So, just to ensure, not only you can able to see the entire gameplay for reals, but also about the fact that we don't have to worry about with this very awkward recording setup. So, anyway, so once you clear out all of these spider webs, well, suffice to say, mission has been accomplished. So, yeah, that pretty much summed up for this mission. So, however, there's going to be some other missions that requires you to able to actually backtrack, and on top of all that stuff, they're just trying to able to keep on, like, well, let's not mention about this for the sake of time right now, because obviously, though, it looks like we are basically almost done with everything from Gloomy Manor. So it feels like we are now on to, presumably speaking, the next mission as far as this is concerned. We'll remind you about the fact that before we get on to the next mission, we need to able to go back onto the previous missions, like I said before, just in case we can able to actually capture some even more boosts. So anyway, so yet again, we've somehow accomplished the 3-star rankings yet again. So yeah, that's actually pretty top notch and awesome at the same time. So either way, Sticky situation is fully completed. So, you know, pretty awesome, potentially. So, anyways though, and I've also would like to able to try to mention about the fact of how the results go. In terms of the forms of Team Great Britain for the likes of the forms of, you know, Paris Olympics 2024. But let's just say it's probably best if we let Ray the Flying Squirrel will mention more details about the forms of the actual final results turns out for the likes of, you know, Team Great Britain for, you know, Paris Olympics 2024. After that, for that particular moment where usually it's been about 10 days ago since Paris 2024 Summer Olympics has been finished, and as far as I'm aware, whenever I've seen a closing ceremony, I totally forgot to mention about that particular topic actually. I will say the closing ceremony is actually pretty swell, at least to me anyway, especially concerning for the fact that, well, then again, it's probably best if we let someplace else we'll mention more about it, especially concerning for the fact that, well, like I said before, it's about the fact that we are basically almost completely done everything for the likes of Gloomy Manor at this point. So either way, so we want to know who is responsible to able to actually cause a lot of those spider webs and all that stuff during the course of in Gloomy Manor. So presumably speaking though, it's about the fact that we can able to actually come across into the first true boss in the game. So yes, much like the forms of how it does on the first game, basically though there's going to be some you know, true bosses that we can able to actually face up against. So, for instance, we actually have ourselves Confront the Source. So, either way, I suppose, for that being said, folks, is that we get endings of this point right here. So join me next time for more of Let's Play of Luigi's Mansion 2, aka Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. Is that we're about to be going back onto the previous missions to capture some more boos, specifically through 3 remaining boos, and also we can able to get into the first proper boss in Confront the Source. So I'll see you guys on Friday. Later, fellas.